The first thing I noticed about her wasn't the way she stood, it was the tape. A thin strip of gray duct tape wrapped tightly around her fingers, uneven, like it had been replaced too many times. Dark stains bled through the layers. Old blood turned brown. Not fresh. Not accidental either. She stood in the middle of my quarters like she belonged there. Back straight, chin slightly raised. Eyes locked on me with that quiet, unnerving focus I'd only seen in people who were either very disciplined or very broken. "Tell me this is a mistake," I said, not looking at her. I was staring at the hologram of command flickering above my desk instead. "No mistake," the officer replied. "Emily Carter. Priority assignment." I let out a slow breath. "I train soldiers, not diplomats' kids." "She requested you." That made me finally look at her. She didn't flinch under the weight of it. Just stood there, hands at her sides, fingers wrapped in that tape like she was trying to hold something inside them. "Why?" I asked. The hologram cut before anyone answered. Silence settled in the room. I grabbed my jacket from the chair, moving past her. Up close, I could see the tape was peeling at the edges. Fresh layers over old wounds. Repeated damage. Intentional. "You're early," I said. "I don't like being late," she replied. Her voice was calm. Too calm. "Training starts at 0500, I said. "You show up late, you're done." "I won't be late." I paused at the door, then glanced back at her hands again. "You wrapped those yourself?" A beat. "Yes." I studied her for a second longer. There was no hesitation in her answer. No shame either. Just certainty. "Good," I said, opening the door. "You're going to need them." She didn't smile, but something in her eyes shifted. And for the first time, I had the feeling this wasn't going to be a normal assignment. She didn't wait until morning. Most recruits needed at least a day to break, a few hours to show cracks, fear, arrogance, doubt. Emily Carter showed none of it. Instead, she stood exactly where I'd left her, as if the concept of off-duty didn't apply to her. I found her still awake 3 hours later. Same posture, same stillness, same tape. "You planning to stand there all night?" I asked. "If necessary." I leaned against the doorframe, studying her properly this time. Up close, the differences were clearer. Not just human. Something slightly off in the symmetry of her features, the faint shimmer under her skin when the emergency lights flickered. Subtle, controlled, like everything about her. "You're not here to impress me," I said. "You're here to survive training." "I am aware." "That's supposed to sound confident?" "No," she said. "Accurate." I almost smiled. "Almost." "Then start being accurate," I said. "Tell me why you requested me." Silence. Not hesitation, calculation. She stepped forward just once. The movement was smooth. Practiced. Like she'd rehearsed every possible way this conversation could go. "In 47 days, she said, "my father will be assassinated." I didn't react. Didn't blink. Didn't shift. I'd heard predictions before. Soldiers always had a sense of when their number was up. Most of them were wrong. "Predictions are cheap," I said. "Not where I come from." Her voice didn't change, but something underneath it did. Something quieter, heavier. "My people don't guess. We see." I crossed my arms. "And what? You saw it happen?" I didn't need to. That got my attention. My father's death has already been confirmed by our seers. The time, the place, the method. She paused. "The outcome? New Seattle colony?" I asked. She nodded once. "Peace summit." Yes. Of course it was. These things always happen during peace talks. Easier to hide chaos in the middle of diplomacy. "And you're here because," I prompted. "Because I don't accept it." There it was. Not fear. Not grief. Defiance. "My people believe death should be dignified," she continued. "Graceful. I have been taught my entire life to accept what is inevitable." "And you don't." "No." That word hit harder than it should have. Simple. Final. Absolute. I pushed off the wall and walked past her, circling slowly. "You think I can stop it?" "I think you can teach me how." I stopped behind her. "Teach you what?" "How to survive." I let out a short breath through my nose. "Survival isn't something you learn in a classroom," I said. "It's not theory. It's not philosophy. It's doing things you don't want to do when you don't have a choice." "I understand." "No, you don't." I stepped in front of her again, close enough now to see the details she couldn't hide. The faint tremor in her fingers. The tightness in her jaw. The way her breathing was just a little too controlled. "You've never been in a real fight," I said. You've never had to choose between being a good person and staying alive. I have, she said quietly. I shook my head. No, you've been trained. That's different. Her eyes didn't leave mine. That is why I am here. Something in the way she said it made me pause. Not arrogance. Not desperation. Certainty. Like she'd already made the decision. Like the outcome was already locked in, just not the path to get there. I glanced down at her hands again. The tape. Layered. Rewrapped. Pressed tight enough to cut circulation. You hurt yourself? I asked. Yes. Why? Another pause. Longer this time. Because pain is honest, she said. It does not allow illusion. I studied her for a moment. That wasn't something a sheltered diplomat's daughter was supposed to say. Who taught you that? I asked. No one. I didn't believe her. But I didn't push it either. Instead, I walked to the table and picked up a training blade. Standard issue. Dull edge. Enough to bruise, not cut. I tossed it to her. She caught it instantly. Perfect form. Of course. Show me, I said. She moved. And it was beautiful. Every step calculated. Every motion precise. Efficient. Controlled. Like watching a performance designed to impress judges who already knew the ending. She struck. I stepped aside. She adjusted. I blocked. She flowed around it. Perfect. Useless. I closed the distance in one step, grabbed her wrist, twisted, and dropped her to the floor. Hard. The blade clattered across the room. She hit the ground with a sharp exhale but didn't cry out. Didn't even look surprised. Again, I said. She pushed herself up immediately. No hesitation. No complaint. We went again. And again. And again. Each time she was flawless. Each time she lost. Faster. Harder. More brutally. After the 10th time, she was breathing heavier. After the 20th, her movement slowed just enough to notice. After the 30th, she hit the ground and stayed there for half a second longer than before. I walked over, picked up the blade, and tossed it back to her. You're fighting to look good, I said. I am executing the form correctly. I don't care about the form. She stood up, tightening her grip on the blade. That is how we are taught. That's how you die. Silence. She didn't argue, didn't defend it. Just stood there, absorbing it. Good. Tomorrow, I said, turning away, we start over. With what? I glanced back at her. With everything you've been taught, I said. We break it. Her eyes narrowed slightly. Not in resistance. In focus. And replace it with what? She asked. I paused, then gave her the only answer that mattered. Something that keeps you alive. For the first time since she'd walked into my quarters, her composure cracked. Not much. Just enough to see it. Hope. Sharp. Dangerous. Desperate. The kind that got people killed. Or saved them. I looked at the tape on her hands one more time. Old blood. New layers. Something told me she'd already started breaking herself long before she found me. And something else told me I was about to find out just how far she was willing to go. If you've watched this far, then this story is really interesting to you. Please confirm it by clicking like under this video. It doesn't cost you anything, but it will help me understand what story to publish for you next. Let's move on. Training didn't start at 0500. It started at 0450. She was already there when I arrived. Standing in the center of the training room, exactly like the night before, straight posture, controlled breathing, hands wrapped in fresh layers of tape. New blood already seeping through the edges. Of course it was. You're early, I said. You said 0500, she replied. I calculated margin for error. Good, I said. You'll need it. I didn't give her time to settle in. No warm-up. No explanation. I threw the first punch. She reacted instantly. Perfect block. Perfect angle. Clean deflection. Textbook. I stepped inside her guard and drove my elbow into her ribs. She folded. Air left her lungs in a sharp gasp as she hit the mat. Lesson 1. I said, standing over her. No one waits for you to be ready. She nodded, already pushing herself back up. Good. Again. This time she didn't wait. She attacked first. Fast. Precise. Efficient. I broke it apart in 3 seconds. Twist. Step. Sweep. She hit the ground harder this time. Lesson 2. I said, precision doesn't matter if you hesitate. I did not hesitate, she said through controlled breaths. You did, I replied. Right before you committed. She didn't argue. Just stood up again. That was the pattern. She adapted fast. Faster than anyone I'd trained before. By the second hour, she stopped trying to win cleanly. By the third, she stopped caring about how it looked. By the fourth, She started trying things that weren't part of any system I recognized. Good. That's where real learning began. I circled her slowly, watching the shift in her stance. Still balanced. Still centered. Still too controlled. You're holding back, I said. I am not. You are. She didn't respond. Didn't need to. I saw it in the way her fingers flexed under the tape. The way her shoulders tightened just before she moved. She was thinking. Too much. Come here, I said. She stepped forward. I grabbed her wrist, twisted it behind her back, and forced her down onto her knees. Fast. Efficient. Controlled. She reacted immediately, trying to break the hold using technique. Angles. Leverage. Positioning. All correct. All useless. I tightened the pressure just enough. Not enough to injure. Enough to hurt. Her breathing changed. I cannot break this, she said. You can, I replied. You're choosing not to. I am applying correct countermeasures. I don't care about correct. I leaned closer, lowering my voice. What do you want to do? Silence. She strained against the hold. Trying harder. Trying smarter. Still wrong. What do you want to do? I repeated. I want. She stopped. Her body tensed. Not physically. Mentally. I want to escape, she said. No, I said. That's the answer you were taught to give. I pressed harder. She winced. What do you actually want to do? Her breath hitched. I want. She cut herself off. I could see it now. The line. The one she wasn't allowed to cross. You want to hurt me? I said quietly. She went still. You want to bite me? I continued. You want to slam your head into my face. You want to tear at my eyes with your free hand. Her breathing got sharper. Faster. But you won't, I said. Because that wouldn't be graceful. Silence. Heavy. Tight. I released her. She stayed on the ground, hands pressed against the mat, breathing hard. Didn't look at me. Didn't move. Good. Stand up, I said. She did. Slowly this time. Different. Something had shifted. Again, I said. This time, when I grabbed her. She reacted differently. Not clean. Not controlled. Her free hand came up, fast and unrefined, and her nails scraped across my forearm, hard enough to draw blood. I let go instantly. Not because it hurt. Because it worked. We both froze. She stared at the thin red lines she'd left on my skin. Her eyes widened. Shock. Then something else. Something sharper. She started. Good, I said, cutting her off. She looked up at me. Confused. Uncertain. That's the first real thing you've done all day? I continued. That was not, she hesitated. That was not correct. It kept you from being controlled, I said. That makes it correct. She looked back at my arm. At the blood. At her taped fingers. Her hands trembled. Not from fear. From realization. This is what you want me to become, she said quietly. I shook my head. No, I said. This is what you need to survive. Silence again. But different now. Less resistance. More acceptance. We trained for another 2 hours. No forms. No structure. Just pressure. Mistakes. Corrections. Pain. By the end, she was slower. Sloppier. Better. When we finally stopped, she stood there breathing hard, sweat mixing with the faint shimmer of her skin. Her hands were worse now. Tape peeling. Fresh blood pushing through. I nodded toward them. You rewrapped those yourself? Yes. Do it again tonight, I said. Tighter. She frowned slightly. Why? I met her eyes. Because tomorrow, I said, we make it worse. She held my gaze for a moment longer, then nodded. No hesitation this time. As she turned to leave, I noticed something. The way she moved. Still controlled. Still precise. But underneath it, there was something new. Something unstable. Something dangerous. Good. That meant she was finally starting to break. And once you broke the right way, you could rebuild into something that didn't die easily. By the end of the second week, most people would have quit. Emily didn't. She showed up earlier each day, left later, said less, moved more. The tape on her hands got thicker, layers building over layers until it looked like armor instead of protection. Every morning it was clean. Every evening it was ruined. I never saw her rewrap it, but I knew she did. Alone. That part mattered. Again, I said. She attacked. Not clean anymore. Not elegant. There was still structure in it. Habits didn't disappear overnight, but now it was mixed with something rougher. Less predictable. I stepped back instead of forward this time. Let her come to me. She adjusted mid-motion, changed angles, tried to close distance faster. Better. Still not enough. I caught her shoulder, redirected her momentum, and slammed her into the mat. Hard. She hit with a sharp exhale and rolled immediately, trying to recover position. Faster than before. "Stop," I said. She froze, breathing heavy, sweat mixed with the faint silver tone of her skin, catching the low light of the training room. I walked around her slowly. "You're improving," I said. "I am aware. You're still holding back." Her jaw tightened slightly. "I am not." I crouched in front of her. "You are," I said quietly. "You just don't realize it." She didn't answer. Didn't argue. That was new. "Stand up," I said. She did. I didn't move this time. Just stood there. "Hit me," I said. She hesitated. There it was. Small. Almost invisible. But real. "Hit me," I repeated. She stepped forward and threw a strike. Fast. Controlled. Strong. I didn't block it. Didn't move. At the last second, she pulled it. Stopped just short of impact. Her hand hovered in front of my face. "Frozen. You see it now?" I asked. Her breathing was uneven. "I could have hit you. But you didn't." Silence. Her hand slowly lowered. "That is restraint," she said. "That is hesitation," I corrected. "It is control. It is the reason you'll die." That hit. I saw it in her eyes. Not anger. Not offense. Recognition. "I was taught that control is survival," she said. I nodded once. "And I'm telling you it's not." I stepped closer. Close enough that she couldn't avoid it this time. "Control gets you killed when the other person doesn't care about it," I said. "When they're faster, stronger, or more willing to do things you won't." She held my gaze. "What do you want me to do?" she asked. "Stop deciding what you're allowed to do," I said, "and start doing what works." Her fingers flexed again. That same tension. That same internal conflict. Good. It meant she was close. "Again," I said. This time, when she moved, there was no hesitation. The strike came fast. Direct. Ugly. It connected. Not cleanly. Not perfectly. But it hit. My head snapped slightly to the side. We both froze. She stared at me. At what she'd just done. Her breath caught. Good," I said. I rubbed my jaw once, then reset my stance. Again. This time, she didn't hold back. We went at it harder. Faster. Messier. Her movements broke apart further. Less form. More instinct. More reaction. More survival. She slipped once, and instead of recovering cleanly, she grabbed onto me. Unbalanced, aggressive, unpredictable, and drove forward with everything she had. We crashed into the mat together. Not controlled. Not clean. Real. I pushed her off and stood up. She stayed on the ground for a second, breathing hard. Then pushed herself up. Different again. Something in her posture had changed. Not perfect anymore. Not symmetrical. Not correct. Better. We trained until her movements slowed. Until her reactions lagged just enough. Until her body couldn't keep up with what her mind was trying to do. Finally, I called it. Enough. She didn't argue. Didn't ask for more. Just stood there, breathing, hands hanging at her sides. The tape was worse now. Split open in places. Dark with fresh blood. I pointed at it. "You're overdoing it." She looked down at her hands. "No," she said quietly. "I am not doing enough." I frowned slightly. "What do you mean?" She didn't answer immediately. Instead, she walked over to the bench and sat down. Slowly, carefully, like the movement actually hurt. That was new. "I train after you leave," she said finally. I leaned against the wall. "I figured." "I remove the tape," she continued. "And I strike until the skin breaks." I didn't react. Externally. Internally, that explained everything. The layers. The damage. The way she kept pushing past the point where most people stopped. "Why?" I asked. She looked at her hands. At the blood. "At first, it was to understand pain," she said. "To remove fear of it. And now." She hesitated. Just for a second. Then, "Now it is to remove hesitation." That got my full attention. She flexed her fingers slowly. "I noticed something," she said. "When the pain is constant, there is no moment where it begins. No shock. No reaction." She looked up at me. "There is only action." Silence settled between us. Heavy. Not uncomfortable. Just real. "You're trying to rewire yourself," I said. "Yes." "Without understanding what you're changing." She didn't deny it. "Then help me understand," she said. I pushed off the wall and walked toward her. Stopped a few steps away. "You're not wrong," I said. "Pain does that. It removes hesitation." Her eyes focused on me. "But it's not enough." Then what is, she asked. I pointed at her chest. Choice. She frowned slightly. You think this is about pain? I continued. It's not. It's about what you're willing to do when it matters. I am willing to do what is necessary. No, I said. You're trying to become someone who is. That hit deeper. I saw it. The shift. The realization. She wasn't there yet. But she wanted to be. Badly. Tomorrow, I said, we test that. How? I met her eyes. With something real. She nodded. No hesitation this time. As she stood to leave, I noticed something else. The way she moved now. Less balanced. Less controlled. But more grounded. Like she was starting to accept instability instead of fighting it. Good. Because the people who survived weren't the ones who stayed perfect. They were the ones who adapted when everything fell apart. And something told me, very soon, everything was going to fall apart. It happened before the lesson. That's how it always goes. You plan to teach something controlled, contained, something you can manage. And then reality steps in and reminds you that control is just a story people tell themselves. We were in the middle of the corridor drill when the station shuddered. Not a vibration. An impact. Deep. Structural. The kind that travels through metal and bone at the same time. Emily stopped mid-step. I didn't. Move, I snapped. A second later, the alarms hit. Sharp. Repetitive. Loud enough to cut through thought. Red emergency lights flooded the corridor, turning everything into shadows and angles. What is, she started. Boarding action, I said, already moving. Stay behind me. Her hesitation was there again. Smaller now, but still there. Now, Emily. That did it. She followed. Fast. We moved through the corridor at a controlled pace, fast enough to cover ground, slow enough not to run blind into something worse. The station felt wrong. Too quiet under the alarms. No shouting. No scattered movement. That meant professionals. We turned the first corner and found the first body. Security officer. Down on one knee like he'd been caught mid-step. Throat cut clean. No struggle. No mess. Just efficient. Emily made a small sound. Barely audible. I didn't stop. Eyes up, I said. We kept moving. 2 more bodies in the next section. Same pattern. Fast. Silent. Deliberate. They are moving toward the diplomatic wing, she said. Yeah. They know exactly where they're going. Yeah. That was the problem. This wasn't random. This was planned. Timed. Precise. We were already late. I slowed near the next intersection. Raised a hand. Listened. Footsteps. Multiple. Measured. Disciplined. I grabbed her arm and pulled her into a recessed maintenance alcove just before the corner. Pressed her back against the wall. Quiet, I said. She nodded. Breathing controlled. Better than before. We waited. For figures past the intersection. Black tactical suits. No insignia. Weapons ready. Formation tight. They didn't speak. Didn't need to. I counted automatically. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then, a 5th, trailing slightly behind. I missed him at first. That was on me. And mistakes like that got people killed. The 5th one slowed. Turned his head. Saw us. Weapon came up instantly. Don't move. Too late. I pushed Emily behind me and reached for my sidearm. He was faster. Drop it. I stopped. Measured the distance. The angle. His stance. Weapon trained on Emily's head. Not me. Smart. I lowered my hand slowly. Let the sidearm fall. Metal hit the floor with a hollow sound. Good, he said. That's smart. He stepped closer. Careful. Controlled. Target confirmed. He said into his comm the girl's with him. Of course she was. Step forward, he said to her. Slowly. Emily didn't move. Now. Still nothing. I could feel it. That tension. That moment. The edge. If you don't move, he continued, I shoot him. His finger tightened slightly on the trigger. Emily's breathing changed. Not panic. Not fear. Something else. I glanced at her. Just for a fraction of a second. Her eyes met mine. And I saw it. The same look from the training room. The moment before she stopped holding back. Run, I said. No, she replied. The operative laughed softly. Touching. And that was the moment. That half second where everything shifts. Where choices get made. Where training either matters. Or it doesn't. Emily moved. Not clean. Not calculated. She dropped sideways, grabbed my fallen sidearm, and fired. Wild. Unstable. Human. The shot went wide. But it didn't need to hit. It just needed to break his focus. It did. He flinched. Just enough. I was already moving. Closed the distance in one step. Grabbed his weapon arm. Twisted. Hard. Bone snapped under pressure. He screamed. I drove my palm into his throat. Crushed it. He dropped instantly. Silence. Emily was on the floor, breathing hard, the sidearm lying next to her hand. I picked it up. Checked the chamber. Still loaded. Good. You missed, she said. Her voice was shaking. I know. I had the shot and You gave me an opening, I said. That's what matters. She looked up at me. Searching. Processing. You acted, I continued. That's the difference. Her hands were trembling now. The tape soaked through again. Fresh blood pushing out. Not from new cuts. From pressure. From impact. From reality. Can you move? I asked. She nodded. Slow, but certain. I offered a hand. She took it. Grip stronger than before. I pulled her up. Then move. We kept going. Faster now. No more hesitation. No more controlled pacing. The station was already compromised. The game had changed. And as we moved through the corridors, I noticed something. Her positioning. Closer now. Tighter. Not behind me anymore. Beside me. Not by instruction. By instinct. Good. Because whatever was waiting for us ahead was going to require more than just training. It was going to require survival. And for the first time, I wasn't sure I was the only one capable of it. We reached the auxiliary hangar just as the station groaned again. This time louder. Metal under stress. Systems failing. Somewhere, something important had just broken. The hangar doors were half open to vacuum. Emergency containment fields flickering like they couldn't decide whether to hold or collapse. One shuttle remained on the deck. The others were gone, launched or destroyed. And between us and that shuttle, 3 figures, weapons already raised. Stop right there. The voice came from the center. Calm, controlled, confident, professional. I stepped slightly in front of Emily. Not enough to block her. Enough to take the first shot. Target confirmed, the leader said. The girl's worth more alive. The rest is optional. Good to know, I replied. The one on the left shifted position, covering a wider angle. The one on the right stayed still, disciplined, watching for movement. They weren't rushing. Didn't need to. They had the advantage. Here's how this goes, the leader continued. You put down your weapons. You walk away. You live. And her? I asked. A pause. Then, she comes with us. Of course she did. I didn't answer. Didn't move. Behind me, I could feel Emily. Her breathing. Faster than before. Not panicked. Focused. Go, she whispered. You can still leave. No, I said. You cannot win this. Not alone, I replied. Silence. The kind that stretches just enough to make everything sharper. Touching, the leader said. But pointless. I could feel it. The numbers. 3 armed professionals. Open space. Minimal cover. Bad odds. Very bad. And behind me, a girl who, 3 weeks ago, couldn't throw a punch without thinking about how it looked. Now, her hand touched my back. Light. Unsteady. Please, she said. I will not let you die for me. I closed my eyes for half a second. Not long. Just enough. You're still thinking wrong, I said. What? You're still looking for a clean outcome. You want a way where everyone survives? I continued. Where this ends without blood. Silence. That doesn't exist, I said. The leader shifted slightly. Impatient now. Time's up, she said. Decide. I didn't look at Emily. Didn't need to. Lesson 1, I said quietly. What? Emily asked. When you're out of options. I reached back, grabbed the second sidearm from my belt, and pressed it into her hand. You make new ones. Her fingers closed around it. Unsteady, then steadier. Lesson 2. I continued, keeping my voice low. Never fight fair when you can fight dirty. I understand, she said. Lesson 3. I said, finally turning my head just enough to meet her eyes. When someone gives you a choice. Her breathing slowed. Focused. Take it away. I stepped forward. Just one step. The leader's weapon tracked me. Last warning. Emily moved. No hesitation. No pause. No perfection. She raised the weapon and fired. The shot hit center mass. The leader dropped instantly. The other 2 reacted. Too late. I was already moving. Close distance on the one to the left. Shot once. Clean. Down. The third turned to run. Not tactical retreat. Instinct. Emily fired twice. Both shots hit his back. He collapsed mid-stride. Silence. Heavy. Final. I stood there for a second, breathing steady, waiting for movement. There was none. Slowly, I lowered my weapon. Emily didn't. She stood behind me, both hands gripping the sidearm, arms shaking, not from fear, from adrenaline, from the realization of what she'd just done. "No mercy," she said. Her voice was different now. Flat. Certain. "You said it was a luxury." I nodded once. "I did. I believed you." I looked at the bodies, then back at her, at the tape on her hands. Completely soaked now. Dark. Thick. Not just her blood anymore. Her grip tightened slightly, but she didn't lower the weapon. Didn't look away. "Good. Come on," I said. I stepped past the bodies, toward the shuttle. She followed. No hesitation. No pause. Halfway there, I glanced back at her. At the way she moved now. No wasted motion. No unnecessary control. Just function. Just survival. "You did exactly what you needed to," I said. She didn't respond immediately. Then, "I didn't think," she said. "That's why it worked." We reached the shuttle. I keyed the door open. Systems flickered. Still functional. "Barely. Get in," I said. She stepped up, then stopped. Just for a second. I noticed it instantly. That small pause. The old habit. Still there. I turned. "What is it?" She looked at her hands. At the tape. At the blood. Then back at me. "I understand now," she said quietly. "Understand what?" Her eyes locked onto mine. That I was never afraid of dying. A beat. I was afraid of becoming this. I held her gaze. "Too late for that," I said. She nodded. Slowly. Not with regret. With acceptance. Then she stepped inside. And this time, she didn't hesitate at all. We found her father alive in the medical bay, surrounded by bodies. Guards. Staff. People who had tried and failed to stop what had already been set in motion. He looked untouched. But when he saw her, the blood on her hands, the weapon, the way she stood, something in his expression broke. "Emily," he whispered. "I'm alive," she said. Not gently, not softly, just true. Later, when the station was secured and the attack contained, we stood alone in the corridor. Quiet again, like nothing had happened. But everything had. "The vision changed," she said. "Good," I replied. "No," she said. "Uncertain." I nodded. "That's better." She looked down at her hands. At the tape. Carefully, she started peeling it off. Layer by layer. Old blood. New blood. All of it. When she finished, her fingers were raw. Unprotected. Real. "I don't want to be your student anymore," she said. I felt that more than I expected. "Yeah." She looked up at me. Steady. Different. "I want to be your partner." Silence. Then I nodded. "Okay." She held my gaze for a moment, then offered her hand. No tape this time. I took it. Firm. Equal. And in that moment, I understood. The tape was never about pain. It was about choice. About becoming someone who doesn't wait to survive. 47 days, I said. She nodded. "Whatever happens, we face it together," she finished. Dirty. Desperate. Refusing to die. Thank you for listening to this story to the end. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Write in the comments what moment in this story impressed you the most. And also check out the other videos that just appeared on your screen. See you in the next video.